And hello, welcome back again to another edition of No Filter Sports here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I am your host, Brian 3SL, and of course, with me is the multi-winning hostess of Real Talk Uncensored, Miss
Mm,
Kiki. How are you
I'm
doing?
doing, I'm doing well. Thank you. Happy Sunday. How
Happy
are
Sunday.
you?
I'm good. It's been a month, of course. So again, based off of our busy schedules, so we try
Yes.
to at least do it at least once a month. To recap of what's been going on in the sports world,
Mhm.
and everything. And I can see Miss Kiki is out and about in this day and age.
I'm on the boat. I'm
Yes,
on the boat.
yes, she's
Sorry.
on.
It's Sunday. It's Sunday. It's my off day. So I am on the boat, but I am here with you. Let's get it cracking.
Okay. Well, last week, a lot of people were out and about in Kansas City, of all places, to witness the 2023 NFL draft. Um, I'm going to say this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. But I feel this is the most lackluster NFL draft they have ever had in a long, long time. I mean, as much as a lot of ESPN panelists, and this is again, ESPN has been mainly the catalyst that tries to do overhype this NFL machine. Um, Most of these guys, I either a don't know or don't care. And whenever they get drafted, and especially if they get drafted to my team or your team or any other's favorite team, everyone will probably go ape shit, or people will be like, okay. I was in the realm of, okay, this is who the Ravens pick. Good, I'll deal with that. But as a show in general, as something to where it takes 3 days to televise,
Yes.
I am so over it. I don't care where if it's going next. I know it's going into your hometown, Detroit, next year. But I just feels like it was fine. Have it in New York, have it in some hotel lobby, and call it a day. I don't need to be seen televised. I don't need over analyzation of players that not everyone has seen and knows and cares about. So I mean, once they get onto a pro team, yeah, I'll care about them. But as of right now, it's like, look, they're rookies, they're drafted. I don't give a shit. But that is my whole heart and my whole opinion. Miss Kiki, how do you feel?
I have one question. Like,
Yeah.
why is it that the draft has lost so many fans? One and two. Why do you think it's so lackluster? Like, I'm here for the draft. I'm
Mm,
here for it. I need to see. Like, I'm not a person who watches and contends with college players and watch. Like, I'm not that guy.
mm-hmm.
So when a draft comes along, I'm here for it because I play catch up. So I'm trying to understand, like, what is it with people that they don't appreciate the draft, or they're downgrading it to to be less than what it is. Like, it's a show. It definitely is a show, and it definitely is. And it's one of those anticipated things. So what has happened over the years to have it not be so anticipated? I, I don't get it.
I for me, like I think for me, this is me personally.
Okay.
Um, I'm just not feeling this. I just feel like the over anticipation of people who may or may not get on that field. I mind you, if you're drafted, they will, especially a first rounder, they are supposed to be on the field. But we have seen through the years some of the first rounders um, don't get to start unless again unless you're a quarterback. I mean, everyone overhypes the quarterback. I've never been a fan of the quarterback being the face of a franchise. Never have. I I I just don't get it. But anyway, that's again another personal issue.
Okay.
But the thing is like with when it comes to drafting, I believe that's one of the issues. It's like if it's not a quarterback, it's not someone who's again. where people know who they are. Everyone likes the quarterback, and if a team, especially a good team who may need a quarterback, or a team that's on the rise that needs a quarterback, it's not really emphasis on. They pretty much feel like it's a no-brainer. And speaking of no-brainers, it's like the other key thing is when it comes to the number one draft pick. I mean, the last few years, everyone kind of already knew who they're picking. I mean, it's like I kind of wondered, like, the surprise factor has kind of disappeared. I remember one year when Sam Arnold, when he got drafted, it was a slip up. Everyone, it was like the Rams, you figured it's like, oh, we weren't supposed to say that. No, we were supposed to, you were supposed to keep it a surprise. And again, the odds makers, a lot, mind you, a lot of, around that time, betting was really getting into, who will be the number one draft pick, who people will pick be the number one draft pick. And I remember that slip up, and everybody, once they heard that, it's like, oh, here we go, we'll pick him. And a lot of money's lost. And that's the thing. I think the other key element here is like the interest of the reminder. There's those hardcore fans. And then there's the fans who, the hardcore football fans. Let's let me correct that. And then there's fans like us. We're fans of our teams.
Mm-hmm.
Once I figure it's like, hey, just give me the list, call it a day. That's me. You, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about how, if you want to, just want to focus on that number one draft pick and that's it, or want to stay there and stay glued on the TV set for 3 days to find out, what your team picked all, throughout the time frame. And that's the other thing. I'll give you another story.
Okay.
A colleague of mine, he actually went to an NFL draft day one time, and he told me this. And he told me this is like him and a friend went to, and he had some girls with him. He was able to get into the NFL draft. I believe it was around, like maybe the second or third day. And they were saying, hey, we're at the NFL draft. We're seeing the picks and all that stuff. And, they get through one pick, and it's like, oh, they were excited to, be involved, quote unquote, involved in that. But then it's like, all right, like you sit and wait for about 5 minutes or more. Then it's somebody comes up to the podium, says, and this team selects blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, wait another 5 to 10 minutes. Wait, another person shows up, and it's like, okay. And the funny thing he told me was like, the two girls is like, is this it? Is this all it's about? It's like, yeah, pretty much. And it's like, I'm ready to go. And so was he. Let
me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Were these people who felt that way, were they like fervent football fans? Because I live for that day. Honestly, I'm up for it.
Mm-hmm.
I pop popcorn to it. Like, I'm waiting for that day when those little tedious moments happen. Like, there are people who, for real, who are not waiting for those tedious moments because they're tedious. I look for that. So are these people who say, oh, that part of the game is lackluster? Are they football fans, or you wouldn't know?
Well, the person who told me the story, he's a football fan. He's a Commanders fan. He's been a and everything. But the thing is the fact that's like, this is supposed to be a spectacle event, and there's nothing spectacle about it. Mind you, like what the NFL has done for the last few years, and especially since they're doing this grand tour they're doing with it.
Okay.
They make the first round the big thing. And in addition to, they have music guests, they make it a festival thing and all that stuff. It's fine and dandy. Yeah. But once you start getting into the meat and potatoes of everything, there's not a lot of meat, and the potatoes are weak. And with no seasoning.
Not one lie was told there. Here's what I want to say about the draft, right? Mm-hmm. So when the draft announcement is made, I'm excited. I'm excited because I feel like I want to be along with the ride. I want to understand, but it's contradictory in some sense because a lot of those players, I don't follow them when they're college years.
Mhm.
Some, not all. Where I could tell you, I followed them from their college years, but from the day of the draft and when they give you their bio, I'm there. Like I'm
Mhm.
there for it, and I need to understand something. So, but what I want to segue, may I segue if I can?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm a little upset because I'm starting to feel like the draft is not in a, for lack of a better term, I think um it's fixed. How's it fixed, Kiki? You
Yes,
ask.
yes.
I I say that because how the hell did that draft pick from that 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 um that the Eagles got picked over 4 times? I don't
Mm.
understand. I feel like some teams some teams have their claws or have their picks, and that's is what it is. There's no way for that guy to be the have all the fanfare. You know what
Mhm.
I'm talking about, right?
You're talking about Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter. There's
Yeah.
no way that for the fanfare that followed Jalen Carter for if he for him to have been picked over 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Now,
And
if you would like to correct me and tell me you're tripping, I'm here for it.
actually, I'm in mild agreement with you. I kind of question these. It's like, here's
What?
here's the thing. Well, I have
Okay.
the first round picks in front of me.
Okay.
Um, so the Panthers, who traded with the Bears for the number one pick, because initially the Bears had it, and
Absolutely.
they felt like, oh, I don't know, Bears want to still have, some belief in their current quarterback situation.
Yes.
So, and Panthers, yes, needing a quarterback, so they pick up Bryce Young, which is understandable.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, Jalen Carter, he got passed over. Got passed over by the Texans, who end up getting another pick in got a second and a third.
Absolutely.
The Colts get their fourth, then the Seahawks, and then the Cardinals and the Raiders and the Falcons. And then my two is like, all right, does anybody need defensive help? Because I know the Texans do. Um,
Yes.
so CJ Stroud, he's a quarterback, another quarterback, but and then Will Anderson Jr., he's okay. But yeah, you a two-time national champion player, defensive player, goes to the Eagles. Just and easily the Eagles, mind you, they had 2 first-round draft picks based off of some of the trades they did um,
Absolutely.
recently. So again, yeah, I kind of wonder is like, how do you guys pass these guys over?
I don't have an answer for that, but I kept saying, so listen, I was going back because, of course, we're well into the draft over it. Actually, I went
Mm-hmm.
back and said, for some of these picks that people, well, let me say to you, I'm going to back up. Dallas Cowboys is my team,
Mm-hmm.
and the Philadelphia Eagles are in my division. So we're
Mm-hmm.
rivalries. So I kept
Mm-hmm.
saying to myself, how does this play out? And the Eagles have what they have, but I kept saying to myself, how did he get picked over all those times and then get picked up by them and then all the fanfare be he was the one, he was the one, he was the one. That's why I said
Mm-hmm.
to myself, I wanted to ask you, where do you feel if even if you do or don't, if you don't, you don't. But if you do, how do you feel that this guy's been picked over 4 times, one, and two, he be the number one pick? Because to me, if you were the number one pick, 4 times would be non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking you that.
I let's what is it? One, I always wonder about needs for teams. because they, based off of, again, analysis and analysts is saying like, oh, this team needs this team needs that. Um, I just feel like with the Eagles, and especially after being in the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years, it for them to get especially them getting 5 guys out of Georgia in this draft makes no sense. Like easily, it was like, most of these teams were not looking into getting the 2-time national champions. Unless it's, mind you, Bama was like the premier team everyone's picking the crops from, and they figured it's like for certain players, they sort of like, oh, we want this one. It was like pretty evident that like people want to get Bama. With Georgia, I think it's in fact also with Georgia. Georgia is like they're coming back, meaning since their stature. I mean, it's been they were kind of like quote unquote in the doghouse for years until in the last 3 or 4. So, but to answer your question, it's a tough thing because you look at certain teams and how they constantly are on a consistent basis. Like for years, the Detroit Lions, how do you get all these top tier draft picks and they play like shit? I never understood it. I remember when
be very careful. Be fair. They don't play like shit. Are you gonna stand on that? They play like shit.
Hear me out. I remember the year they had Joey Harrington and a young Megatron. Yeah. They could not do
like second year. Mm-hmm. Around second year Megatron, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Couldn't do anything with it. I don't know why. It either was the offense, either was the defense wasn't holding up. But they produced some. Megatron was able to produce some numbers. Joey Harrington, they felt like okay. And mind you, everyone blamed Matt Millen because he was the architect of that whole entire draft sequence for those 10 years or X amount of years he was there. But he did get Stafford. It was Stafford came in way later. But again, you wasted a good arm, a good talent, and he ends up going to the Rams and finally gets a ring and all that stuff. And I felt like it's like you wasted a lot of talent. But now I feel like the Lions are coming together. I think they finally got a decent coach to keep. I felt like their GM is decent enough to really try to build something there. I want to love the Lions. The Lions are like the Chicago Cubs in baseball. Everyone wants to see them win at least in this century.
Yeah. And they came off very well in the draft.
Yes,
they came off extremely well in the draft. If I could add that.
Yes, they have. So, but the thing is like, I mean, it is tough to say. To answer that question because of the fact like a lot of teams have a lot of needs, and for them, how they evaluate, how they, what they see in a certain player. That's their formula. That's something that really asks them. But basing off, let's say how I see with my team, there's a reason why this player plays like this, and with the Ravens, it's like. Can this player play like a Raven? That is our mantra. And and the person that we picked, Zay Flowers, based off of his play set, I saw some of his highlights. It's he's got some speed. He's a little bit better than Mr. Hollywood Brown. And mind you, he can go the deep route or do some slants. So. And to complement with Bateman and now OBJ and also Mark Andrews and some of our other talented tight ends and things like that. Mind you, the main thing for the Ravens when it comes to receiving core has been depth. We had lack of it. So now we're expanding it. We got veterans. We got some young talent coming, building up their repertoire. So I see what they're trying to do here. And that's the other thing, is trying to see where your team is, what they're trying to do. Are they building it for depth? Are they building it to try to put this guy right in there so they can start?
Yeah.
I don't know. So there's a lot of huge question marks. So I know full well I really can't answer your question, because really that proper question really should be directed towards an NFL executive to find out what the hell, how you get a guy like him, who's pretty much, a lot of people will say he's prime talent. He's an A. You should put him in, this team really needs him and all that stuff. And you question how they draft and all that stuff. But then again, at the same time, I'm always reminded when Bill Poland chewed out Mel Kiper Jr., just saying, it's like, what the hell does he know about NFL? He's not an executive. He just mouths off about a bunch of people that he barely sees. And I was like, I fully agree. It's like, you guys did the evaluation. You guys went down there, did either combines or pro days or whatever. You understand what you want for your team and how this person fits in your team schemes. I'll give it to them. So sorry.
I try my best to be well-rounded, to not just stick with one particular team, which is my team. I try my best to move around and see what I can see. And I have a question for you with regard to me moving around.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask it?
Go ahead.
So, in the NBA realm, right? People was mad because they were stacking teams, right? They were stacking their teams. They're like, oh, yeah. LeBron, this, that. They're a shoo-in for a chip, right?
Yeah.
So when it came to the Eagles doing what they did, why no one is mad? Why can't we have the same questions? Why can't we have? I'm gonna ask the question first. I'm sorry, respectfully. Why aren't individuals upset? Because when I ask, it's like, oh no, it's different.
Here's why, and I do agree, it is different.
Okay. Oh, is it?
It is different. So with the Eagles drafting at least like five guys from Georgia,
okay,
these are 5 guys who may not be on the roster. They drafted them, yes, but will they be on the roster? And football is a different beast, and it's like it's a 53. I mean, I've known draft picks who've been on the team. They did the preseason stuff and all that stuff, and didn't, and either A, didn't start, or B, didn't make the cut in that first year. So for the way I see it is like, this is another reason why I feel like the NFL draft is the most overhyped piece of shit I ever know. Because of the fact it's like, yeah, I already said that. But it's like, it's just worth repeating. But the thing is the fact that you're overhyping a bunch of guys that haven't done anything. It's like, the one thing is like, oh, he'll be a great addition. He'll be a great addition to the team. But if he makes the team, I mean, everyone forgets the fact. Now, when it comes, like, if you're trying to compare with the NBA, and especially with the way they stacked, if those are veterans, those are guys who are pretty much like trying to, they've already established themselves. They've already have, their skill set already made, and they've established themselves to be quote unquote a premier player. So yeah, it's like this, if this guy wants to be with be the magnet to attract all these other guys, then yeah, that I can understand. But when it comes to, college, when the NFL, from a college set to the NFL set, and if you're trying to get all the premier players in college, it's like, okay, you may have like if one team was able to draft 5 All-Americans, 5 All-Americans, it's like, okay, yes, they would assume, a lot of people would assume that, okay, yeah, they're gonna do great in the block, in the playoffs, or get into the playoffs and all that stuff, or win the division, whatever. But then again, it's like, mind you, they're still rookies. They're going from college to NFL. the speed, the strength, the mentality, completely different than what it was in college. I've seen enough college games to where it's like, I mean, everyone will say a good college game is 53-47, and it went into triple overtime. And I was like, that ain't a great college game. That is a stupid shootout. One, two, it was like, where is the damn defense? Because you gave up, either one team gave up 53, the other team gave up 47. It's like, come on. And so the point is like, for you to, getting these All-Americans, and that's a whole nother debate about what's considered All-American in college nowadays.
Absolutely.
And to be drafted into one team, it's like, okay, you're just going into a team to fill up a lot of spaces that they need. So if they're able to take what they've learned in those 3 to 4 years in college and take it to another level once they get to the NFL ranks, then I would say, okay, you've done something right. But I'll give another sport which makes it a lot easier. In baseball, when they draft, there's something where they have is minor leagues. They build their skill. They build their skills. They build that professional mindset. So once they get that proper call to go up to the show, things will change there, because then they're well prepared to handle the grind of a 162 game season, and maybe more, depending on how their team is going to do in the after the regular season. So I think the thing is, and also it works same aspect with the NHL. I think with the NFL and the NBA, the two problems is like, there's the NBA is slowly understanding their developmental system with the G League. So whenever they have their draft, mind you, they treat that, again, just like the NFL, they treat it like a show. And that's the one thing, is they don't treat it where it's, we need needs. Because here's the thing, the NFL was originally had 12 rounds. Actually, if you think about it, even further back, they had 14. I go back. Yes. Okay. So they reduced it down to 7 because what? Television reasons. Because once ESPN came along and wanted to cover it, and they figured, it's like, oh, we can cover this. This would be great. So they reduced it. And so I think around the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, they reduced it from 12 to 7. So for television reasons. The NBA draft used to have, I believe at one time, had 7 picks, reduced it down to 3 for television. And now it's just down to 2. So again, so the real reason here is the fact is like, again, yes, one, I think there's predictability or possibility of, there's a lot of shadiness going on, because everyone knows who they're going to pick. They already know who they're going to pick. Is again, they treat it like a television show for drama reasons, and for the fans, like, who are we going to pick? And another reason is the fact that I really believe that for the league to be consistent, and it can be consistent in everyone's minds throughout an entire year, something like this needs to be talked about on a consistent basis. And I feel like I don't need to know about a guy who just got off college, just walked down and got his diploma, played a bowl game, and he's doing a pro day. I just don't care. Just either pick him or you don't. So that's just me. But I know you. But let me ask you this. Let me ask about your team's first round pick, Mazi Smith from Michigan. He's a defensive tackle.
Yes.
How do you feel, or how did you felt when he got picked, and how do you feel now after the fact?
I'm with it. I'm for it. Reason being is that for whatever reason, every year the draft, barring the draft pick with, I think the last thing I was excited about was Ezekiel Elliott won, and when Dez Bryant was picked, which is Dez Bryant, his picking was equivalent to the one for what's the guy named for Eagles again?
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith. That was the same. It was the same. So see my face, right? You see my face? I'm putting it in the light. Like, I feel like Dallas Cowboys never draft what we need during the draft. We will pick up stragglers along the way. Like, we will pick up corners, we will pick up safeties, we will pick up all that along the way. Like, during the time when someone gets hurt or we need someone, we'll find someone. But during the draft, we never see that. That's dramatic. We never pick up what we need. So I'm not happy, nor am I sad for the defensive tackle. I'm not happy, nor am I sad, because the bigger named positions, we need changes in. So whatever they want to do.
well, let me add.
It makes sense to you. I know it probably sounds corny, but
okay. Well, let me add this into the mix. So here's who.
Okay.
For you, here's who the Cowboys picked. Besides Mozzie Smith, they also picked another player from Michigan, Luke Schoonmaker. He's a tight end. Then they picked a local boy from Texas, DeMarvian Overshown. What a name. What are these names? Okay. Then they had a guy from San Jose State, Vilamati Feoko.
Okay.
Junior, add the junior part. Then he had Asim Richards from North Carolina. Then Eric Scott Jr. from Southern Miss. Then Deuce Vaughn from Kansas State. And their last pick, Jalen Brooks from South Carolina. Now that type of class is like, mind you, based off of what you're trying to tell me, I really think it was more of like just filling up. It was a lot of fillers.
Do me a favor. Go back to the Michigan ones again.
Mozzie Smith, he's the first round pick.
That's my cousin. That's my cousin.
Seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my cousin. And I'm
Smith.
Mozzie. Yeah, M-A-Z-I. That's my cousin. And listen, one, I couldn't have been more prouder. See that? Couldn't be more prouder. But I feel like, even with that being said, I believe, as a diehard blue and silver, I bleed blue and silver Cowboy fan, that we never pick where our deficit is. We have a deficit in many areas, and we never stock up on our deficit. So I'm not mad. Like, God bless my cousin. I hope that he does well. God bless these other areas. But where our deficit is, where we fall short, I should say, we never fill that void. So your question is what again? I'm sorry.
How do you feel about the picks that the Cowboys have made, and do you feel like is this, were these needs, or do you feel this is just all fillers?
I'm going to double back. I probably answered that before you even asked me. I feel like we never fill our deficit. We're devoid in many areas, quarterback being one. Like, I'm not mad at Dak, but I feel like we should have drafted someone else like behind him. It didn't happen. I feel like our receivers, we need receivers. I don't care. We need receivers. I feel like we need I'm gonna answer your question first. I feel like we did what I think we did what Cowboys do. You do the thing that Cowboys do, which is check the boxes. We checked the boxes. We did it. The thing was asked of us. The task was asked of us, and we completed it. But I don't think that the things that we did and the places that we feel were areas that caused us that like those areas to me weren't deficits. They weren't areas that you notice on the field. There weren't things that caused us to lose a game, or there weren't areas um that were um what's the word? I hate to say a hundred times, but those weren't areas that stood out when we had games and we were in the playoffs. That like that shit, bro. That wasn't shit that we fucking needed. To
Mhm.
put it plainly, you
um, for let's say for the Cowboys reasoning, I feel like I don't know what a I don't know what a Cowboy player is anymore. I I,
I
I, I
what pause.
hmm?
What?
Hear me out. Like I said before, with my team, our mantra is play like a Raven. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what a modern day Dallas Cowboy is anymore. Because mind you, I grew up, we grown up in the '70s, and I remember the days of the America's team and all that stuff. The where the silver and blue was that it was portrayed as that,
Okay.
and through the years, they kept up with that significance mantra. I don't think most of these Cowboys today, except maybe a few, maybe just a few. I don't see them being as Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys as someone who, like yourself, will be a full fan of.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Mm.
I agree. And what do you contribute that? No, contribute. Attribute that to. Do you think it is the money has gotten in the way, or the leadership?
I think it's the leadership.
I
I
think it's
re-
the leadership.
I
I
think
feel
it's
I
yeah.
feel like if you look at the dynasty era, or the areas, the errors,
Mhm.
ERA, the eras that we reigned in, like the things that were necessary that made us what we were, that's
Mhm.
absent.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is more of a who do I like? It's more of a popularity concept. It's a popularity thing, if you will.
Mhm.
Whereas, do I get along with Jerry? Like blah blah. As opposed to, do you have the recipe that it takes to be a Cowboy fan? That recipe is lost. Like, you know how
Yeah.
McDonald's tell you they have two pickles and whatever they have. We have three pickles in Dallas. In Dallas.
Mhm.
And is it upsetting to the fans? Absolutely, because we understand that every year we go, like, we have the potential to be better than we are, but because and I don't know if it's quarter filling. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say, as from Kiki, it's quota filling. I think that, do we need a safety check? Do we need a blah 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 check? It's not. And it's not it's not quality. It's
Mhm.
definitely quantity, in my
Mhm.
in my opinion. So
Okay.
if you feel differently, please chime in.
um, Again, when you have multiple picks, um, usually it depends on the quality. If it is a debate between quality and quantity,
Mhm.
um, that's why I was kind of surprised with the Ravens only having 5 draft picks, because normally they would try to get as many draft picks as they can. Um,
Absolutely.
but I think they played it smart this year. A lot of team, mind you, you can tell like certain teams, they draft for quality in addition to quantity, like i.e. the Eagles, um, and the Lions as well. But
Lions.
yeah, but I think, but when you don't have a lot of draft picks, you have to draft smart, and especially if you don't have a first round draft pick, you have to draft smart. And I think that um, nowadays, I think a lot of the teams are kind of, they're trying to finally getting the getting playing drafting smart game. I don't think Dallas is there yet. I really don't. I mean, like you said, they're drafting for fillers and drafting for just you can say depth reasons, but really it's like, are you drafting for quality? I don't know. So, anyway, we'll move on from the draft and go into what happens maybe for some of these guys who don't make it to the draft, who don't get picked or whatever. The XFL is having its championship game next Saturday or coming Saturday. Locally, it's a big thing. DC Defenders, they had the successful season. They're the North Division champions. They will face, surprisingly enough, the Arlington Renegades for the championship. Now, mind you, this is the second XFL championship, the first one in 20 years. So, now, did you go to the division championship game last week or no?
No, I went to the game before that. I was not privy to this game, that the championship game. I wish I had been, but I was not. So for those who do not understand, my first team for the DC area is the Defenders. That's my first. This is my first DC team. I'm excited. I'm cheering for them. I feel like, in some ways, and it's not because I'm a Cowboys fan, and the Commanders are not in my division, and I don't like them. This has nothing to do with that. I feel like some areas the Defenders have risen, in areas that the Commanders have fallen. And if it were up to me, for me to be an all-around DC fan, I feel like some of those players should be plucked from the Defenders and plucked and plopped. Those are P's, those are words. Plucked and plopped, like plucked from the Defenders and plopped in the Commanders. I know that can't be, but I feel like they are saving the franchise. The whole DC, and people will call it a franchise, but the whole DC area. No, fuck it. The franchise. They saving the franchise. They are.
Right.
Do you feel differently from what I'm saying, or?
No, I agree. I feel like, well, I think what you're fully mainly saying is like, for the DC Defenders have sort of given football fans in the Washington DC area something more passionate about that they haven't had for almost 20 years.
Correct.
And mind you, it's like when before COVID, the Defenders were pretty decent team before the stoppage at the time. Here now, fulfilling the task of almost going undefeated. They only had one loss, and then winning the divisional championship to get to the championship game now. It's mind you, the fan base here is very exciting. I mean, you're seeing watch parties now. There will be a watch party in the area for fans to watch, to tune in, because the championship game is being played in San Antonio, and of course, a lot of people are trekking out there to visit. I mean, go to San Antonio and watch this. So they have invested. So I'm going to ask you this. Mind you, you've been to maybe one or two games. Do you feel like this, when now a full complete season of XFL 2.5 or 3, or depending on how you see it, has this been a success? Do you feel it's a success in this area?
Absolutely. And listen, you didn't ask me this question, but I'm gonna jump out there and say it. Was I surprised? Hell yeah. Was I shocked? Absolutely, I was shocked. I never felt like, throughout the teams that were involved, that DC would rise in the area that it did. Am I proud? Absolutely. So this is why I announced that this is my first DC team, because they're representing everything that a team should represent. Like, you could, if you watch the game, the fans represent like diehard fans. Even though it's new again, They represent the diehard fans. Um, are they playing the game at the highest level? Absolutely. Are they playing the game at the level that we would expect from an NFL team? I think so. They're rising above and beyond the level that we expect from NFL teams. So I'm proud, I am amazed, and I am grateful that the DC Defenders are where they are, and I'm rooting for them. And before it catches on too fast, I'm gonna have my. I
You'll
got
have
two.
some.
I'm starting the snake with one cup. With one cup. I'm starting it. I'm
Okay.
starting the snake. But
Yes.
I'm being funny. But they it's a representation that I'm very proud that I'm proud to be a part of. I am. I am.
Well, again, hopefully, again, for anyone tuning in, like this will be aired between either Friday before the championship or at least of it, and you'll see this after. So again, it's May 13th, Saturday, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Tune in. It's mind you, though. Let me ask you this: I know you haven't fully invested in the USFL at all.
Oh! See my post, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, yes. So, USFL just started. They're into their third week. Numbers are slightly down, of course. He, is it? I want to ask you this question: do you feel, even if now their sort of home bases have expanded a little bit, but still, it's like some of the teams that the teams supposed to represent certain cities haven't gone to those cities yet. Do you feel like the XFL, with the success that they had this past season, is it due to the fact that they have proper home base cities to build their fan base from? Is that the reason for the success, the XFL better success of after this first season compared to, let's say, the USFL's first season?
Is that a complete answer or no?
So, that's your answer.
So with everything that's in me, with my whole entire person, I'm trying XFL. USFL. I'm trying. I cannot. I cannot. I look at it. It doesn't interest me. It doesn't hold my interest.
Even though one of your current Cowboys used to play for the Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah, because guess what? During the XFL, my old backup quarterback is a quarterback there, and that wasn't enough. That was a plus once it gained my interest. That was a plus, but USFL. I'm trying. So listen. So you want to laugh. You know why I'm trying so hard and I'm failing? It is very contrary. It is very elementary. It's the names.
What's wrong with Philadelphia Stars?
I can't with the names.
Birmingham Stallions.
The Birmingham. Look, bro.
Mind you, I do remember the original USFL. So, yeah. And I remember the teams. I know pretty much every single one who came, left, and all that stuff. I remember Washington had a team called the Washington Federals. And they sucked. They were the worst. You talk about a bad franchise, they were just bad. And I remember their big star was Craig James, and he used to be part of the Pony Express with Eric Dickerson in Southern Methodist, and he couldn't save that franchise. So after 2 years, they went down to Orlando for the last season of the original USFL. But anyway, with that in mind, I felt like with this current rendition of it, I still believe that they need to be they need to build fan base, and I think that's what they need, a home base, a home base to go to. And it's like, look, when they first year, it was due to COVID reasons, understandable. This year you're expanding a little bit, which is fine, but still it's like it doesn't make sense to have New Orleans playing in Canton, Ohio. It doesn't make sense to have Pittsburgh Maulers playing in Michigan. It just doesn't make sense. They need to go, they need to, it's safe enough as the XFL have shown to travel to certain places. Mind you, the XFL is a little bit different because even though they have home bases to go to, they have their training facilities are in one place. So I think for the USFL, they really need to go to their home cities that they're supposed to represent and start building up that fan base. Because right now, I think that's what's holding them back to be up to right now. I feel like the XFL level. That's just my opinion.
I agree. And listen, I've vacillated back and forth about this because I don't like to be tedious and petty, but I felt like I can't. I can't. And for me to take you more seriously, I think you should take you more seriously. That's it.
Understandable. All right.
So, okay.
I mean, it's understandable because again, I think the USFL is like, it's, mind you, the USFL championship was good. It was entertaining. I saw it, but I think now it's just like, okay, you really need to really be who you are and represent the places that you're going to be at. So I do agree with that. So anyway, all right, we're going to wrap up with the NBA playoffs. A lot of drama, so to speak, has happened. So right now, just as of before the taping, the Philadelphia 76ers have tied their series with the Celtics at 2 games apiece. But the real question here is everyone has been talking about and gaga over is the battle between the Warriors and the Lakers. Everyone feels like with this series, the winner of this series will get to the finals. And they didn't say they'll win it, but they'll say they'll get to the finals. I'll ask you this question, and then I'm going to go to my tirade. How do you feel about the series do you feel the Warriors-Lakers series is the series that where the winner of that one will get to the finals? Do you agree?
Yes.
Do you agree with that question?
Yes. Yes. That's a very popular rivalry. That series to me is the best of all times. And I listen, I will let you in a secret. I secretly, and people don't know it. If you know it, I'm gonna let it out that I am a Lakers fan. I feel like I've been waiting for a series like this. I've been waiting.
Okay.
I've been waiting. And I feel like in my time, this is one to be in the books. This is one to be rivaled. This is one to be spoken about. Yes.
Okay.
Do you disagree with that, or no?
Here's my disagreement.
Okay, so you said a tirade.
Yeah, so here's my tirade.
Okay.
I did not want this. I did not want this to happen. I really wanted. I really wanted Sacramento to beat out Golden State Warriors.
You're a hater.
It's not about hating. I like the Warriors. I just know my thing is like I want young blood. I want new blood going into these playoffs. I want Boston, this new version of the Boston Celtics has kind of was this catalyst of it. And Milwaukee, even though they're out now, I felt like these are these new freshing stars that I feel the league needed. I always like during the season, I was like peeking over to the standings and seeing Sacramento being the Pacific Division champions. was kind of surprising because it was like, what the hell happened?
Okay.
And I figured it's like, again, the mindset is like, oh, Lakers are getting old. Lakers were playing the playing games. Warriors getting older. I figured it's like, good, we're finally getting some new blood. Unfortunately, Memphis being Memphis, being a bunch of whiny baby bears, and instead of just man up and playing what they needed to play, but just never showed up. But Sacramento kind of did, and I felt like pushing the Warriors to 7 was a good spark. And I was hoping if they would have won it, and I have their head coach, who is the NBA's Coach of the Year. He was the coach that LeBron James kicked out, when he got to the Lakers. Because he was coach at the time. Brown was coaching the Lakers when LeBron showed up, and LeBron kicked him out. Mm-hmm. And it was like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, okay. So for him to coach the Sacramento Kings up to winning a divisional championship and then getting and taking the defending champions on the brink of elimination in a game 7, it's like, okay, I can see this. This is what I want. And then on top of that, it's like, yeah, let's see if LeBron can handle a bunch of very hungry. These guys were hungry, and I think the Memphis weren't, but Sacramento was. I just think that's the thing I feel the NBA is missing. I mean, mind you, Denver is trying their best.
Do you think that?
They're trying. I said trying.
So may I respectfully cut you off?
Yes, go ahead.
What do you think that they bring that the Lakers and Golden State are missing? Because you're saying that you would like to have them there. Are you saying that in place of Lakers or in place of Golden State?
Either one, because
for the
NBA.
Kidding me?
Hear me out. Here's the thing. Okay. You're talking. Your passion is just like an NBA executive, in addition to an ABC executive. They want either the Lakers or the Warriors or any other, or maybe the Suns too. Someone who has a current top tier player on their team to get to the finals. They don't want someone who's like kind of in question, is like, who are these people? They don't want that. They don't want, it's like, what are we seeing? No, they do not want to see Denver. That's the thing. Among the current remaining teams on the West side, they do not want Denver. And on the other side, pretty much it's like, okay, it's either Boston or Philly. Because
you're Walden.
No. Honestly, if you think about it, this is what a lot of you talk about how the NFL draft was probably fixed. Think about through the years of how the NBA finals, everyone's saying is like, this has got to be fixed because there's certain teams and certain players and how they're built and all that stuff. They want this player to be in the finals. How many times?
Because you said that, who is said player? Because you said that, who is said player?
It could be whatever. Again, it's based off of what, mind you, where everything's set up now. I bet you a lot of executives want Warriors and Suns in the Western Finals. Why?
Because I'm asking you, because you said that, who is said player? Steph Curry.
It could be Steph Curry. Steph Curry and the Warriors, LeBron and the Lakers, KD and mind you, KD in the Suns. Whoever is making noise on that particular team, that's how the NBA wants to follow that, and because they want to see that transition of it's like, okay, and especially they want storylines. They want to be kind of like wrestling. You got Kevin Durant going up against the Golden State Warriors again. Because mind you, he couldn't do it in OK. When he was in Oklahoma, so he joins them, and then he leaves. Now he's going up against them again, and probably in the Western Finals. Okay, something of that sort. If it's Denver, everybody's like, "Who's on Denver?" Well, they have a 2-time NBA MVP. All right, that's it. All right, how are they going to run a quote unquote story from that? They instead of allowing the teams getting there and being they want to create these weird storylines for a lot of the reporters to try to write up and oversaturate with, to the point where it's like, look, are we talking about the damn game or these guys who used to be on these teams against these other premier players? I don't want that. I want to see the game and enjoy the game from that. I want to see different. That's why I would rather have different teams be going up to the finals than the same guys going through the same bullshit. And I was like, Warriors and Lakers. All right, yeah, I know it's a great story. Steph and LeBron. Whoops, Kiki just dropped out. Oh, she'll be back. I'm gonna go on my tirade still. Have LeBron and Curry going at each other about a whole bunch of crap, and of where I think that who will get the 5 first. That was the key thing. It was like, who will get the 5, and I think that it's tough. It's tough right now to me to really enjoy the NBA playoffs. Or NBA in general. I just do not like their style of play and everything. But mind you, I do need to cover it. So to see how we manage that. But I've stated on other shows before, or currently, as based off of the current situation of the remaining playoffs. And there's Miss Kiki. She pops back in.
Sorry, someone was calling me.
Well, we're about to wrap it soon, but I would say that my extensive tirade is based off the state of the current structure of the NBA playoffs. It's just like, to me personally, I am not fully invested in fully enjoying it. I'd rather see newer teams. I was glad to see the Kings do what they could have done. But I really, hopefully down the line, the old guard, this current old guard, goes away. We need newer teams, to represent the league and properly represent the league, meaning the fact that proper coverage of them down the line. So, but until that time comes, we're going to be stuck with another. Will LeBron get into the finals and win another title? Will he be still GOAT status and all that bullshit? And it's like, I don't fucking care. But hey, it is what it is.
Don't say that. You gotta fucking care. Listen, I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, which is different for me. I agree with that. However, I feel like for the league to continue, they have to open up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get a team in Seattle for one.
Absolutely.
So they need to expand. They need to expand, and it's like, look, we've been waiting for over 10 years.
Expand is the proper word.
Yeah.
Right.
They need a team in Seattle. Seattle's been ready for over a decade, and it's like, come on, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, with the remaining teams that are currently on, remaining teams left in the playoffs, who do you still believe will get to the finals?
I'm stuck on LA. Sorry, I'm stuck there. Okay. And listen, you can shoot me for that because I'm a fervent, forever Lakers fan, and I can't see beyond that. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and against who?
I believe that I believe where they are with Golden State. I'm stuck on that.
Okay, no, I mean right now we have your West team, which is Lakers. Who's the you got in the East winning?
I don't think I got beyond this championship. I didn't get beyond this. Am I terrible for that?
You're being a homer because all you think about is LeBron and the Lakers.
No, that's all. I haven't gone beyond that. So okay. Can I flip it and ask you? Because I literally have not got beyond that. And normally, you know me, mm-hmm. I can not be like a homer. Right. I can be very neutral in this area.
I get you. All right, I will answer this. So I've said before to some people, like with the current state right now, I
Yeah.
believe I'm still sticking with Phoenix. I don't care who they
You,
um
bro,
with the
bro.
West, because of the fact it's like KD has brought something to that team that they kind of needed, a little jolt. I feel that the with the Lakers and the Warriors, doesn't matter who wins that one between them two. It's about um how their depth is, and neither team has a lot of good lengthy depth, or to sustain a battle with, mind you can have the heart of a champion, and in the Warriors case, but I think for the Lakers case is like, we'll see what happens. It just, I think the matchup with the Warriors is a good one, but after that they'll probably be all spent. So, and I think for Phoenix, if they get past Denver, I think they're the team that like a lot of people, they've been hungry to try to get back to the finals for the last few years, and I think with KD's help, I think it will get them there. In the East, I still believe it will be Boston. I think with Milwaukee out, Boston has a good clear path. Now they have to deal with Philadelphia, who's giving them fits. So we'll see what happens with that. But I still stick with, so right now it's Phoenix and Boston. I believe it will work out. I think Miami, everyone's been saying they're not their normal 8 seed. Um, and the Knicks, I think they'll be nicking soon. So, but
The Knicks ain't nicking. Sorry,
yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
I think the Knicks will be nicking.
yeah. But I feel like if Boston doesn't make it out, I think this is an opportunity for maybe Philadelphia to really shine finally. But I still feel it'll be Boston and Phoenix in the finals. But now I mentioned how the East may be. So who will your Lakers face in the finals if they get there?
I feel like it's very hard for me to hone in these areas, like with even the things that you like the Suns. Kind of see that. I kind of see Phoenix, but I am such. I'm so where I am, and I'm so on who I am. You do the job that you do. You have to move around a little bit. I excuse me. I don't trust you. I don't trust you and your picks because I don't know. I don't know how you pick. Honestly, I've been knowing you a minute, and I feel like I believe that there's a absence of bias, but then I feel like in these areas there's a presence of bias. You know why? Because you who is your NBA team? Let me ask that. And then
Wizards.
you better not fucking say Washington. You better not.
Okay. Next question then. Because I already know I have my feelings about that team. So, but I mean, it's a like, if I can go on a tirade with them, it's like, I know
You
that
can.
team that, yeah. So it's like, it's like me being Ebony Williams trying to uplift the this obscure black basketball franchise and all that stuff.
Correct.
I don't know. There's I got a lot of issues with the Wizards. So I mean, I can, that's a whole nother episode. But
So
uh,
you're not saying Wizards, correct?
I'm like I said, I'm deferring to another question because
Okay.
that is,
Okay. Okay.
because you asked me not to. So
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you. Next.
anyway, speaking of next is I'm going bye. So anyway, Miss Kiki, where can people follow? Mind you, the lower third is there, so if anyone wants to follow her, as well as the show Real Talk Uncensored, Mondays at 9-ish in the morning. This is, depending on who shows up first. So, but you can follow the show here, no filter underscore no filters Instagram, as you can see
Yes.
there, because there's a lot of dashes and dots and all this stuff. But anyway, final word. what do you feel how the one final word? How do you feel about your team again? Going back to the NFL draft,
Okay.
do you feel that the Cowboys did what they did was suffice for you as a fan?
I do not. I feel like no one has ever uttered the phrase that Cowboys are building. I feel like we're building. I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know why, but I feel like we're building. I don't feel like Cowboys will make any noise in the 2024 season. I'm a real fan of the sport. The Cowboys is my team, but I'm extremely awake and aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And none of this shit makes any sense.
And on that note, we say bye. For Miss Kiki,
Makes any sense.
yes. So for Miss Kiki, I am Brian 3SL. We will see you next time here on No Filter Sports. Take care, everyone.
Bye.